Do you know who your great-great-great-grandfather was?
No idea.
Doesn't matter how big of an impact like you make over a long enough time horizon, generations and generations and generations, nobody will. So just do what you want.
That's good. How do you keep like your customer experience premium while expanding?
Who are you referring to when you say my customer?
I'm referring to the person who buys the roof.
Dude, that's not how I look at it. My customer are my salespeople. And I think that's what most roofing companies have gotten wrong.
So what's the hardest battle you fight in silence?
That's a great question.
Welcome to Built to Scale, the podcast where vision meets action. I'm your host, Quinn Schilz, founder of Master Roofing, and I'm here to pull back the curtain on building world-class teams, scaling companies, and turning bold ideas into unstoppable momentum. Let's get to work. From knocking doors under the blazing Arizona sun to building one of the most respected contracting companies in the state, today's guest didn't just build a business, he built a standard. At just 31 years old, Mick Coluccio is the founder and CEO of Aspire Contracting, headquartered in Gilbert, Arizona, a company known for its integrity, elite craftsmanship, and leadership culture that turns blue-collar hustle into white-collar execution. But this story isn't just about shingles, sales, and systems. It's about the grind behind the growth, about a man behind the brand, a husband, a traveler, a cigar lover, someone who traded ego for excellence and built a business that reflects who he is at the core. He's not loud, he's not flashy, but he's sharp, disciplined, and dangerous in a best way possible. Because when he moves, things get done. In a world full of talkers, he's a doer. Today we're pulling back the curtain on leadership, sacrifice, winning in business without losing yourself, and what it really takes to go from ground zero to the Arizona Empire. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Mick Coluccio of Aspire Contracting. Welcome, bro.
Thank you, dude. What an intro.
Yeah. But I'm excited for this podcast, bro. So let's get started. What were you doing before Aspire existed, and what was missing?
Like right before Aspire?
Yeah.
I mean, I was selling roofs for another company.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get into it?
Dude, so I knew the owner of the previous company I worked with, and I was doing like marketing for drug and alcohol treatment centers, and the laws changed around that, and business shifted, and I lost like a $100,000 contract, and
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. And
you put together a roofing contract or
no.
drug and
Like,
what do you
was
mean?
contracted by a treatment center to like do marketing for them.
Like you were gonna become like their marketing manager or what?
Yeah, I was gonna help them fill their facility.
Agency. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And so I was broke. My wife and I, girlfriend at the time, were living together.
Okay.
And I wasn't just like broke, but like I had like overhead, and the money was going quickly.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
And I saw the owner of this company post on Facebook. It was July 10th, 2018, and
Cool.
we had just gotten hit with like a big monsoon the night before, and he posted on Facebook. He said, "We just got hit with a big storm, and most of my guys make six figures." And so I sent, and he's like, "And we need help." And so I sent him a message, and he's like, "Mick, I think you would be great at this. Meet me at the Home Depot off Val Vista." And so I hopped in my Prius. I put like the last like $10 I had in my Prius to go meet him at this Home Depot. And I pull up in the parking lot, and he's sitting there in his big lifted F-250 Platinum. And
Expensive truck.
Yeah, and I get out and I hop in his truck, and he's driving down the street, and he was like, "I've got this appointment. I talked to this lady for maybe 2 minutes as she was walking out the door for work, and she told me to come back at lunchtime when she was on her break." And he asked me, "Mick, what do you know about roofs?" I said, I don't know anything. I know they sit on top of houses.
Yeah.
And he said, what do you know about storm damage? I was like, not a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
As we're driving down, he said, you see all these roofs with all these little black rectangles. And I was like, yeah. I was like, every other house. He's like, those are all of our potential customers. And so we pull up to this lady's house. I see him talk to her for 5 or 10 minutes. She ends up signing this piece of paper. We hop up on the roof. We throw a tarp up on the roof. Takes us 30 minutes. It's hot. It's humid. It's July in Arizona. And we get back in the truck afterwards, and he said, Mick, what do you think? And I was like, dude, that looked easy. And he's like, you know how much I'm going to bill the insurance company for that tarp? I was like, how much? He was like, $800 is what they'll pay. And it blew my mind because we were up there for like 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, and you just made $800.
Yeah.
And so he's like, dude, I think you'd be great at this. I'm gonna pair you up with a couple dudes that I knew. And he's like, they'll take you under their wing and kind of show you the ropes. That was my introduction to the roofing industry.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
So you mainly focus, like, you do retail and insurance though, right? Like you do a mixture of both. But
we do both.
In Arizona, it's a lot of insurance.
We're
stuff,
doing
right?
mostly insurance, which isn't common for Arizona, but it's common for what we do.
That's awesome. Did you grow up thinking you'd be a business owner?
No, I don't know. I didn't. But it became pretty clear to me at some point that I don't work well for people. Or I don't work for people. I don't work for people well.
Yeah. Okay. What was the moment, the flip switch to, from I'm working to I'm going to start building?
How do you mean? Like my company?
Like you eventually at a certain point you decided you're going to become a business owner, right? So a lot of the audience might be people thinking about starting their own business, or they want to build their own business within a business or whatever, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So what was that switch for you? You talk about how you got into it, this is easy. So how, and obviously you're working for a company for some mm-hmm. time, right? And then you're like, I'm gonna start doing this on my own. I can do it better, right? So what flipped that switch from I'm working to I'm gonna start building something?
Well, it was probably prior to me even getting into roofing.
Okay.
It was probably when I was working as a BHT at a treatment center.
What's BHT? Oh, behavioral
health tech.
Okay.
And I realized that it didn't matter whether I came in and I worked my ass off, or I came in and I sat on my phone. I was still gonna make the same $28,000 a year.
Yeah.
Didn't matter the effort that I put in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's when it clicked to me is I need something where my input will directly reflect my income. And that's why roofing, when the opportunity was given to me, really stuck, because there was no cap on commission, right? It was as hard as you can hustle is how much money and how successful you're going to be. And it was funny. It was, I was in between two jobs. Mm-hmm. It was either I go roofing route or I work for GoDaddy.
Interesting.
Yep. And I remember my parents really wanted me to take the GoDaddy route.
What do you go the website building mm-hmm. company that's
they're
you
headquartered
buy
in Arizona, and so just doing sales for GoDaddy.
What is it, sell domains?
Yeah, web services, stuff like that.
What do you think life would have been like if you started that career?
I mean, decent. I mean, I'm sure I would have done great. For sure, different. I'm sure I would have done great, but I never would have been able to experience the freedom that I have now.
So what scared you the most when you decided to go all in and open Aspire?
I'll be honest, dude. I don't think there was any fear.
It's interesting.
I don't operate out of fear in my life today.
What do you mean?
I have an incredible amount of trust for the process. And I was talking to a buddy of mine who also left the same company and opened up a roofing company. And I was talking to him before he left, and I told him, I was like, dude, I felt called to do it, and I believe like it would be selfish of me not to try to give other people the best opportunity that I can. So it was so much less like about me and like the life that I want to build and like all these cool things, like whatever. And so much more about like what I wanted to be able to give to other people. So I feel like if I'm operating out of that mindset, like there can't be any fear.
So you had that mindset like almost from the beginning. That's rare. That's rare from people I've talked to, you know, built business. A lot of the time it's like usually somebody screwed them out of something or whatever. And so, you know, I'm just going to try, I can do this myself, whatever. Right. And then, so you came into it already with this kind of servant mentality of like, I'm going to help other people become successful. For
sure. Don't get me wrong. I left the company I was at because I didn't have the opportunity that I desired. But then I left to start Aspire with the mission of being able to give other people that opportunity.
That's awesome, bro.
Thank you.
We met at a conference. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
a couple of years ago. And we stayed in touch on social media. So this is awesome. I'm glad we're doing this. So who doubted you the most in the beginning and how did you use that?
I don't really remember, at least any people around me.
Okay.
I never heard any doubts. Like as soon as like I made the decision, most people around me were like, dude, that is awesome. I'm so happy for you. You're going to crush.
That's amazing.
Which I think just speaks volumes to like how important it is that you keep the right people around you.
100%.
And I've been very, very picky with the people that I allow in my life.
How do you kind of select who you're going to allow, you know, to build a relationship with? Like
we're either growing together or we're growing apart. Pretty much that simple. Like either you're growing and you're investing in yourself and you're disciplined and you're developing and you're reaching for more. And we're probably pretty cool, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're not, like, we probably just don't talk because there's not much for us to talk about.
Yeah. I like your approach, bro. It's like no bullshit. Like we're like getting to the, I like it, bro.
Thank you.
And even when I was talking with, Deshaun, you know, like he's like, yeah, bro, some of the shit you're letting fly here, like Mick don't do that. Like he's
We don't.
he's like it, you know, he's just not gonna deal with it. You know what I mean? But I think that's like when we talked like last year, you guys did like I think you guys were already close to like $10 million, and this year I don't know where you guys are at, but it's like
we ended last year at 8.2 in sales.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how many years have you guys been in business?
3.
That's amazing, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's something to be super proud of. What's your target for this year?
20. We'll hit it.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
How have you built up like your systems and processes to get like to scale it from like now you're doubling it from like 8 to 20? Like what's the change in structure to make that happen?
Still coming up.
Do you know who your great-great-great-grandfather was?
No idea.
Doesn't matter how big of an impact like you make over a long enough time horizon, generations and generations and generations, nobody will. So just do what you want.
That's good. SoCal homeowners, why pay $15,000, $20,000, or even $30,000 for a new roof when instead you can get a new roof for only less than $100 per month? Here at Master Roofing, we serve homeowners with high quality roofs with no hefty upfront costs. So give your house the roof it deserves with 0 down and low monthly payments. Why wait? Click the link below to get you a roof you deserve for payments you can afford.
There's a lot of like operational systems that obviously have to be in place to make sure it can sustain that kind of volume. But like for us, it comes down to like how well can we recruit and attract good talent and get guys in the right vehicle. Sam Taggart has an amazing formula that I've put in my back pocket for years, and he calls it the door-to-door formula.
Okay.
And it's number of reps times number of doors times closing percentage equals money. So if you can raise any of those, if you can recruit more people that knock the same amount of doors at the same closing percentage, you'll make more money. If you have the same amount of people and you get them to knock twice as many doors with the same closing percentage, you make more money. Or if you have the same amount of people with the same amount of doors knocked, but you make them better on the doors and their closing percentage increases, you make more money. Obviously, our goal is let's increase all three. But I think the biggest catalyst to us being able to scale is the number of people, the number of project managers we can have out there. Because at the end of the day, one dude can only knock so many doors and close so many deals, right? At the end of the day, it's, we need to get the right people into our systems and into our culture to get us to our goals.
So, I mean, you built this $20 million, and it's basically like you're knocking on the door. You guys, it's a simple process, right? Like, hey, we're in the neighborhood, we're helping these people out. There's some damage. You're seeing a lot of people don't know about the opportunity, right? So it's like, you know.
So I guess to kind of like dive into that a little bit, most of what we do is insurance restoration. So if there's qualifying storm damage on the roof, wind or hail damage, we can get the insurance carriers to cover the replacement. So the homeowner's only out of pocket is their deductible. And so our guys go out when a hailstorm hits or when a monsoon comes through and they're saying, my name's so-and-so. Have your neighbors told you about what we're doing in the area? No? Fantastic. We've been getting some of your neighbors' new roofs, and the insurance company's been paying for them. Sounds awesome, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, I noticed you had some similar damage as Mrs. So-and-so down the street. What I'll do is I'll hop up there real quick. I'll take a look for you. I'll come knock back on the door when I'm done.
So you don't even, it's like kind of like assume the sale, right? So
100%.
So if you say it the right way, right, it's like they're pretty much gonna be like, yeah, sure, check it out.
Yeah, because there's two sales that need to happen. First at the door, which is I just need to get on the roof. And that's all I'm focused on. I just need to get on the roof because I might get on the roof and there might not be damage that qualifies for you to go through the process, and which at that point, it's a moot point, right?
Right.
But there might be, and if there is, then we come back down, walk them through the damage, and tell them how we can walk them through the process, get their insurance company to cover it.
And then once you get that part done, then what happens?
So the adjuster comes out. We're always present at the insurance.
But you have to still get them to sign up, right?
Yeah, so we have them sign a contingency agreement.
So you go back to the door and you're like, basically, what?
So, hey, we noticed that you guys did have some damage up on your roof. This is the XYZ damage that we saw. In most cases, we believe we can get this covered by your insurance. All we need to do is go through some basic paperwork, and what we'll do is we'll call your insurance company and let them know what's going on. Yep. And what they'll do is they'll send out an adjuster.
Yeah.
Mr. Homeowner,
yeah.
It's super important that you let me know when that adjuster's coming out, because not having a contractor at an insurance adjustment is kind of like going to court without an attorney.
Yeah.
Right? Your insurance company isn't in the business of cutting checks.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to make sure that they pay everything that they rightfully owe.
I love it. And so now you're just duplicating that process with people and like making sure everyone's having that same experience, right?
Yeah.
And then you're building out like this, because when it started, you were the one going out and doing that probably for your company, right?
For sure.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And then you brought in a buddy or maybe hired somebody, right? And then you learned how that works and then started building your team, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I've been doing that though, building teams. When I was at the previous company, I'd built a team about 25, 30 dudes. We did $10 million in revenue the year before I left.
Just on your team?
Just on my team.
I didn't know that. That's crazy, bro.
Yeah. So it's like I've been recruiting and training and developing people. So it's like that part wasn't new to me.
Okay. And then why roofing? Why contracting? Like what made you choose this game?
It was just the opportunity that fell in my lap.
When the guy showed you what's going on, you're like, I can do this.
That was it. It's like, I'm not necessarily fascinated with like roofing. I love the opportunity that roofing gives me. if the same opportunity was in selling toilet paper,
Did you told me this before? This
I'd
is
be in the
crazy.
toilet paper business.
Yeah.
But it just so happened to be roofing.
Yeah. What does Aspire Contracting stand for beyond just shingles and squares?
Stands for opportunity. Stands for personal development. Stands for freedom. Stands for the ability to grow as an individual.
When did it go from like just making money to building a brand?
It was funny because I was talking to one of my business partners earlier this week. And he told me, he's like, dude, you fucked up. I was like, what do you mean? What did I fuck up? And he goes, brother, you started with the culture. You started with the vision. You started with the mission. Most people don't do that. Most people start with, how do I make money? But you didn't. And so therefore you're building an inspired organization, and that's hard.
What do you mean? Why?
Because we raise the standard of excellence, right? Like, we're not doing it just to make money. And therefore it's like in a lot of other organizations where they'll let stuff fly, like, we won't.
Where did that come from? Like, where did that mindset come from that you're just like, how did you have that in you? And you said you built teams before, so obviously if you're building these teams, you had to have like the discipline and the structure, and right? So where does that all come from in you?
I can attribute it to good mentors, I think. Really.
Who are some of the mentors you have?
I mean, I've had a number of them along the way, but probably like the biggest mentor I've had, his name's Marcus. He's one of the partners at Aspire.
What have you learned from Marcus?
Dude, what have I not learned from Marcus? I've learned how to dream big. I've learned how to cast a super big vision. I've learned so much in business of how to deal with people, how to set up systems, how to hire people, how to fire people, how to set KPIs. He introduced me to the EOS operating system, which we run on, how to run level 10s, how to run quarterlies, how to look at a P&L, how to build a pro forma. So much.
There's a lot of good stuff. I mean, we could go on a whole podcast talking about those things, bro.
Yes. I love all those things. Like, I had many mentors, and I just believe that, like, I'm a product of good mentorship.
I see that.
Thanks.
So what's one mistake early contractors make that kills scale before it starts?
Wrong people, wrong seats.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I can speak from experience that I've made some pretty bad hires, especially early on. I've got some crazy stories of bad hires that I've made, but ultimately, at the end of the day,
Like, people just aren't doing their job, or like it's more than that?
Yeah, they're not doing their job. They're not a right culture fit. Like, it could be any number of things.
Mm-hmm.
They could simply just not have the skills that it takes
Yeah.
to do the position that you put them in. Because at the end of the day, everybody interviews well,
Yeah.
right? Like, when
You can say whatever the hell you want to get the job.
you can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's a challenging skill that I've had to develop over the years, is like, how do I cut through that bullshit and figure out, can they actually do it?
What's your method to that now?
Asking a lot of situational questions. If this happened, how would you handle it?
And just really listen to, like, does that align with what I would do, kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that the right thing to do?
Right. But not like, I guess, not like easy, like you can't find this answer, like, where would you go? It's like, of course, they'll be like Google,
Yeah.
But it's like you have an employee and this is what they're doing. How do you handle it? And it's like, I want to see how they navigate through situations.
That makes sense. So then you can kind of really like, the answer would have to be based on experience. Like they can't.
Exactly.
Yeah. You would be able to quickly tell if they're giving you some BS that has nothing to do with the question you just asked, right?
Yes.
Have you ever thought about quitting and like what made you stay?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
It's been a tough week, huh?
Yeah. I got my ass kicked this week a little bit. Never thought about quitting this week. Dude, but yeah, never seriously in the sense where I'm like, I'm actually gonna fucking quit, but more so those long drives home from the office at 9 or 10 o'clock at night after you've just had a hell of a day. And it's more so the question that goes through my head is like, what the fuck am I doing?
What else would you be doing?
Nothing. That's what I come back to. It's like, nah, dude, like this is what you want.
Yeah.
This is what you signed up for.
Yeah. This is the life I chose.
This is what I chose, right? Like I can't complain. I can't bitch about it. I live an amazing life and I'm grateful for the people that I have around me, like Marcus, like Nick, that like put that in perspective for me. Because entrepreneurship is hard. Running a business is hard and it can get very lonely. And if you don't have some people in your corner that you can call, you're going to go crazy.
Well said. That's true. What's the biggest challenge you face, like trying to scale with quality?
Quality of what?
Quality as in like you're trying to scale like quality company. Like you're trying to scale the brand that's you maintain quality as you grow, right? Like it's like the agency, the real estate company, right? Like they maintain like that boutique feel when they're in, now they have 140 offices, right? They still maintain this like luxury boutique feel. How do you maintain like the quality of Aspire that it had in the beginning, right? As you're now scaling, as you're bringing more people in, like how do you maintain that quality?
Just being overprotective of our culture. Being quick to
culture meaning the people, like it's
right.
You don't have time for,
and just being quick to part ways with people that aren't fit for that.
So you have no problem firing someone if it's not a fit. Because it's for the overall vision of like if we're gonna get to X, we have to be like all aligned on the same trajectory, right?
100%.
So it's like you really take the emotion out of it, and you're just like looking at everything black and white.
Yes, I do a very good job of that.
How do you do that, bro? I think I struggle with that the most. I like try and see the good in people, and then I'm like, I mean, I can also find bad in everyone, bro. So it's kind of like, how do I have that balance? And I guess you have to look at just results. I don't know.
Yeah, I think my nature is very stoic, and so I'm really good at not bringing emotion into it. Brandon Dawson says the only emotion welcome in business is celebration. Right? So it's like when it comes to making decisions, like my emotions don't play a part of it whatsoever. It's like what is best for the company, the organization as a whole that supports us in our vision. And so it doesn't have to do with like that. It doesn't mean that person that we might be parting ways with is a bad person by any means, right? Like it's like many of the people that are no longer with us, like I love them and they know that, right? And anytime I see them, like it's all love. But this just might not be your bag. And that's okay. I know that. I know that we're not a fit for everybody.
So you just have that lens of like, this is the vehicle, and it's not everyone's going to be able to, it's not going to work for everyone, and that's okay. But
100%.
but like if it's not going to work, like we're not going to waste each other's time. And
yes.
Somebody else is going to need to like come into this position that's going to treat it the right way.
Yeah.
How do you keep like your customer experience premium while expanding?
What's funny is Who are you referring to when you say my customer?
I'm referring to the person who buys the roof.
See, that's not how I look at it.
Okay.
My customer are my salespeople. And I think that's what most roofing companies have gotten wrong. Is they think that their customer is the end consumer. I believe my customer is my project managers. My job is to put my project managers in the best position I possibly can. And if they do that, and if I invest in them and I develop them and I help them grow as people inside and outside the organization, they're ultimately going to end up giving the end consumer, the homeowner, the best experience. But I believe in pouring into my people so that my people pour into the customers.
How have you built that with your team? Like how do you like now this is a super interesting perspective, right? So, and I don't know if you know who Ismael Valdez is. Next he built next gen air conditioning heating and sold it for $200 million out here to private equity.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get him on here soon. But he's somebody who speaks out and says, you got two customers. You have the customer that buys the HVAC, and you've got your employees, and you need to be treating both of them like this, like as like a customer. And like if you want to, like, if you're going to grow a big company, you need a lot of people, and you need to be focused on your people, on the culture, on like making sure they're comfortable, making sure you have a good snack room, making sure you have a good break room, making sure you have, the setup right for them. Like they need to feel happy at work. They need to grow, and you need to be investing in them grow. And that's exactly what you're saying. So how do you do that at Aspire? Like how do you continuously like grow and invest in your people? And then like what's your guys' like process on it, I guess?
I'm super big on them setting goals in the three areas, the personal, professional, and financial.
So you do that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And my job is to help them hit those goals, but to be like an active part of them hitting those goals, right? Like not just like.
So you don't just set the goals and leave them in a folder. You're like saying the goals in here. You're doing one-on-ones with them, or their managers doing one-on-one.
It was so cool. One of my team leads, we did that at the end of the year, right? Like I was like, hey, dude, we're rolling into 2025. Like, what are your goals? What do you want to do? He just bought his wife a car, or his fiance a car. He set a date for his wedding, and he paid off all of his debt. And
That's huge. That's huge.
It's massive. And every time he does that, he's like, I just ticked another one off my list. And it's showing people like you can make incremental progress towards these goals if we break them down into small actions. And I can help keep you accountable on those small actions.
How do you like reporting wise and stuff? Does everyone in your organization report to you, or do they like report to like levels below you? How do you have it set up?
Levels below me.
Okay. So then you manage like a group like of your operations, your sales, like these main guys will come to you though, right?
Anybody in the organization has access to me.
Right. But as far as like the structure of like setting goals or different things, like would everyone do that with you, or would this new sales guy probably do that with the sales manager?
I've trained like my sales managers now to do those with those guys, so they're pretty good about that. But if anybody wants to sit down with me and go over it, like I'm happy to do so. Like I love that. Like I love that. Yeah. I love that.
I love that. I gotta set my goals with you, bro.
I would love to, dude. I love breaking that stuff down. I love seeing my dudes get better. I love seeing their lives change. I mean, I don't run a whole lot of interviews anymore.
Yeah.
But anytime I get the opportunity, dude, like, the guys have heard me say this over and over and over again, is if all you do is come to Aspire and make a fuck ton of money, we failed. If you don't become a better son, daughter, wife, husband, brother, sister, mom, dad, like fill in the blank, then like I don't know what the fuck we're doing.
That's culture, bro.
Because like I can show you how to make money. I've been showing people how to make money for years. Like that's the easy part. But like, let's help you build the life that you want to live. That's what I'm here to do.
You're a rock star, bro. That's awesome.
Thank you.
We just hired new marketing manager. One of the first things we did, we gave the goals, right? Like it's like every employee who's here, but I feel like one thing that we're not doing right maybe is like nurturing those goals, and like how do we help people to like hold them accountable and make sure. So when somebody is setting those goals, right, like what is something like, are you helping them set those goals to make them realistic and hit that SMART goal method, right?
Yep.
That 10x you learn through that process. Or if like they come to you and say, I want to make $3 million next year, and like you start seeing like things that are like maybe not realistic,
Yeah.
like how are you involved with that goal setting process? Like I'm personally curious, like how do you do
Yeah.
that, and then how often would you touch base on them and all of that?
So
Still coming up.
How do you keep like your customer experience premium while expanding?
who are you referring to when you say my customer?
I'm referring to the person who buys the roof.
Dude, that's not how I look at it. My customer are my salespeople. And I think that's what most roofing companies have gotten wrong. We use the SMART method, right? So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time sensitive. And dude comes to me and he's like, I want to make $3 million next year. I'm like, maybe not attainable. I believe any goal is attainable over the correct time horizon, right? So it's like, if that's a goal you have, like, let's put the correct time horizon and let's break it down to the steps that you need to do to get there.
Okay. So you're involved with that process, right?
Yeah.
And then how often do you like touch base with them on the goal?
I have them all on my computer, and I'll check in with them periodically. How's this going? How's that going? When I'm in the office and I'm sitting with them, we'll touch base. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's like I can only do so much, right? I can set the goals with you, but I can't hit them for you. So you're either going to put the work in or you're not.
What did your first hire teach you about leadership? Why are you laughing?
Because I was thinking back to like who my first hire was. And it was a little while ago. He taught me how important alignment was.
Yeah.
Because he was a waiter before he started selling roofs, and he was really good at it. But he's a single dude, lived in a studio apartment, no girlfriend or wife or pets or anything like that, right? And he worked a storm, and off that storm, he made like 60 grand within like maybe 5-6 months. And then his numbers tanked. And I was like, brother, what's going on? Like, you crushed it. Like, how come you're taking your foot off the gas? And after a couple conversations, what it came down to was, he was like, dude, I made 60 grand. Like, he's like, I've made 50% more than I made in a year in half the time. Like, I'm good. And he was, right? Like, for him, like 60 grand, like he could live the life he wanted. So the alignment wasn't there in wanting to go for more. It's like, hey, dude, if all you want to do is make 60 grand, like, it's probably ain't the right fit for you.
Toodles.
Yeah.
So it was just like it wasn't aligned on making the money. So you learned from that in leadership is like you needed to make sure you have the right people there that have the right goals that are aligned with the company vision, right?
Because one of our core values is growth.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, if you stop halfway through the year after making 60 grand, is that growth?
100%.
Probably
it's not. What's the biggest leadership failure you've had, and how did you bounce back?
I'm sure I've had many leadership failures.
The biggest?
Yeah, what's the biggest? You know? I don't know. Because I have a challenging relationship with failure, right? Like, I don't quite believe in failure. I believe the only way that I can fail is if I give up. I'm not giving up. So in that sense, like, I've learned a lot of lessons, right? Like I've definitely made some big mistakes, but I don't know if I failed. And probably some of the big mistakes I've made is just putting the wrong people in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Being over trusting of people. Which I think it's important to trust people, and I never want like that to make me jaded, right? To like not trusting people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see that. What's the non-negotiable standard at Aspire that nobody touches?
The non-negotiable standard at Aspire that nobody touches.
Like, yeah, did you get that? Like, what's like something like non-negotiable if it happens? Like this is like our standard.
Trying to think of one because there's a lot of them that are
it's like you have to hit your KPIs
there's a lot that I feel like are basic, like obviously like you steal money from the company, like no go. We catch you making damage on a roof, no go. I really think that
there's a high level of integrity, obviously.
Yeah, for sure a high level of integrity, but like when it really comes down to it, it just comes down to our core values. Right? Like I think our standard is if you're in alignment with our core values or not. And if you're not, I don't care how much you sell. It's not a fit.
I can relate to that a lot right now. Yeah, I just had a guy selling like 150,000 every month, and just really bad on the culture, team, different things, and we just eventually had to like. One of the things like when Deshaun was here, it's like, dude, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? And so ended up not working out, but you really see it now after like you cut the ties, like it's people's true colors, leaving like bad reviews on Yelp and crazy shit, and like Yelp removed it and stuff. But like just like
it's so funny.
Why? Have you had that happen before?
No, not from
but yeah,
not from previous.
I'm not trying to give people ideas, but
no, no, it's just. It's funny because I get it. Like I've gone through the craziness, right? Like I've gone through the chaos that like nobody can really properly prepare you for.
Yeah. Well, how has your marriage grounded you or tested you as a business owner?
Dude, I love my wife. She is so great. She is so supportive. I'm so beyond blessed with having my wife. And I think it's come down to like communication. We communicate really well. And she fully supports me in chasing my dreams. Like from when I was like, hey, like I'm gonna open up this company, and she was like, all right, great. Like we'll figure it out. Like I don't know what it's gonna look like. I don't know how long until we start making money. Like, but I trust you and let's do this. Between just her helping me stay like in the right frame of mind, I don't worry about much. Like she is so good at taking a lot of the smaller things off of my plate so that I can focus on what I need to focus on, which is growing the business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I saw you post a reel recently, and you were talking about like she helps with the finances, gets like, so you just need to worry about showing up, having a good day, and like that's really awesome.
Yeah, she runs the books for Aspire.
It's probably a big job. Now you're getting to 20 million.
Yeah, she's got her work cut out for her for sure. But
how many assistants you have for her?
None. It's just her. It's just her.
That's awesome.
I mean, we've got some other people in the office that are also in our books, but she does all the reconciling and all that.
I was
stuff.
just kidding. No, that's amazing that she helps you with that, and that she knows how to do all that. That's awesome.
Yeah, self-taught.
That's cool. What have you learned from? It's Callie, right?
Yes.
What have you learned from Callie about being a better man, not just a CEO?
That I need to be more empathetic.
Which
is a challenge for me. It's not natural for me. But women are naturally softer than men.
Totally.
and require a different approach.
Yeah.
And I haven't always been great at giving that approach, but she's been very patient with me while I learn to do so.
That's awesome. What does your ideal day with your wife look like? No business, no meetings.
Waking up, doing our morning routines, grabbing breakfast, going to the gym, maybe getting a massage, getting a nice dinner, spending time together, just relaxing. We're both so busy, like all the time, that just to slow down for a little bit is nice.
How is it working together? Like you guys work together. What are the like challenges coming? My wife's really involved here too, and so I'm just curious, like how you guys have kind of separated roles, or how that has all worked.
Yeah, we don't work. She works at Aspire, but we don't work together. So what I mean by that is when we first started the company, it was just me and her, besides like any other sales guys. So like it was daily us in contact about this and that and the third. And I remember it was funny, it was actually at the Grant Cardone conference that I met you at.
Yeah.
That last day of the conference, I wake up super early.
Yeah.
And I go over, and she's still sleeping, and I wake her up, and I'm like, babe, I'm gonna go spend $45,000. I love you. And I went and I signed up for the 10x 360.
Yeah.
And and so it was funny because after that, she ended up leaving Aspire for a little bit. Not directly because of like that decision, but it was a lot for her at that point.
Because you started implementing the 10x 360, and you're like accountability or what?
No, I didn't go to the 10x 360 for a few months after I signed up for it, actually.
So after she left before that.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was just like us working so closely together, like it was just a strain on our relationship.
Yep.
And
I get it.
And I could tell she was stressed. She would have never like done it on her own accord. But I told her, I was like, dude, you can take a step back. Like I can hire someone. It's okay. I will hire someone. You don't need to do this. Like I appreciate everything that you've done. And it's okay if you want to take a step back. And so she did for a little bit. I went through a few different bookkeepers and office managers, and it was challenging, and they fucked off our books. And eventually I found like a good office manager, and Callie decided to jump back in, and she cleaned up our books. And it was amazing. But when she came back, it was, you're going to work with my operations. It seemed like you're not going to work with me. And so in a day-to-day, like she doesn't really ever call me with questions, or I really call her with questions. It's like,
why do you do it that way?
What she had a hard time with was making big decisions when it came to like finances for the company, because she just felt like it was a lot of pressure, and it is a lot of pressure
For sure.
And I was like, hey, like I don't need you to make those decisions. Like I will make those decisions. I just need you to get me accurate data so I can make those decisions. And so for her, like that was like the right middle ground. She was like, cool, I can do that. Like I can get you any report that you need. Like I can log everything in the books, and like I can do all of that. And so all the decision power like falls on me and my partners, and
Cool.
she just kind of runs the books.
What sacrifices have you made that people don't see?
There's so much.
Still coming up.
So what's the hardest battle you fight in silence?
That's a great question. There's so much that like the team will never see or know, and it's okay because it's not for them to see or know, or you know what I mean. They're decisions I've made, but like countless hours up late at night trying to solve problems, weekend after weekend after weekend in the office, making sure our CRM is clean, setting things up, and constant phone calls with my partners. Like, we're on the phone all the time talking about how we can make the organization better and how our decisions might or might not affect certain people. It was funny because I was talking to Marcus at some point about it, and human nature is we bitch and we complain, and especially salespeople. Me being a salesperson at one point, like, I bitched and complained for sure. Like, I'm not on a high horse with that. Like, I've done it and I've been there, right?
Yeah.
And Marcus I was talking to him, and he told me, he said, dude, like, these dudes will never see us sitting in 8-hour-long sessions, like, trying to make decisions to better their opportunity. Like, they'll never see that. And that's okay. They're not supposed to. That's your job. That's what you signed up for. And so, I mean, there's been tons of time sacrifice, financial sacrifice, emotional sacrifice. Many a date nights were probably ruined by some fire going on. But it's all in the name of trying to give my people a better opportunity.
How do you protect your peace when you carry the weight of the company?
I think I do a really good job compartmentalizing. As I go on, like, business has just been like less and less emotional for me, to where, like, when something happens, like, it just no longer takes my peace. It's just like, okay, that happened.
Kind of numb to it. It's
and
happened
what?
before. So
Yeah, it's like, and what? So
we'll figure it out.
we'll figure it out. There's no problem that we can't solve. There's no fire that we can't put out. Everything is fixable. So it's like, why let it eat me up?
If you win the mind, the money flows, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the hardest battle you fight in silence?
That's a great question.
I love it, bro. Every podcast I've done so far, everyone said you have a great question. Sorry, I had to.
That's a great question. The biggest battle that I fight in silence is that the more success that I achieve, the bigger I grow the organization, the more money that I make, the less people that I can call to talk about my problems with, because I just don't get it. And that was a big thing for me this week.
Like, who do I get advice from on this problem?
Not even necessarily like advice,
or just nobody's gonna understand. You can't call your mom or whatever because it's like she's not gonna get it, and you're kind of thing like that. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. It's like I can get the advice, and the advice is good.
But is it the right advice that you need, or
is it the right advice? And I don't think I have any shortage of advice, or
okay.
Rarely are there situations where I'm just like, I really don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But it's more so like, there's not really anyone to call where they're like, dude, I get it.
Yeah. So you have a morning routine, right? What's your morning routine, and what happens when you miss it?
I wake up, I step on my Hume Body Pod scale.
What's that?
It's a smart scale.
Oh,
that
cool.
just gives me like my lean mass, my body fat
Oh, no way.
percentage, like kind of like an in body.
Yeah.
But it's super rad.
I didn't know about that. What's it called?
It's called Hume Hume Body Pod.
Cool. That's awesome.
So I step on that first thing. I go out to the kitchen. I weigh out my food for the morning.
Macros and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I go outside and I meditate for 5 to 10 minutes. And I jump in the cold plunge.
Meditate like with like a guided meditation or just kind of like breathing?
Typically not. Typically just throw on like a timer.
And then just kind of like breathe and focus on your breath?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Get centered.
What time do you wake up?
It varies.
Okay.
It varies. Sometimes I'm up at 6, 7. Sometimes I'm up at 8 or 9.
Cool. So you don't really set the alarm. It's just kind of like...
Yeah, I just wake up when I wake up. Because my sleep, like, I'm just not willing to sacrifice sleep.
Cool. I love this. I'm taking notes.
Yeah. And I purposefully set up my schedule to where, like, my earliest meeting that I have during a week is 10 o'clock. So I don't schedule anything early. So that way I can make sure that I make sure that I focus on me first. So I'll meditate, jump in the cold plunge for a few minutes, crush my breakfast, take my supplements, pack up, get to the gym.
And then do you go straight to the office from the gym or you come home?
Straight to the office.
Do you ever miss the routine? Like what happens if you miss it? Does it fuck up your day?
I'm fine.
Yeah?
Yeah. Except for meditation. Meditation's like the one thing where like if I don't take that time to get centered, I'm just not as clear going throughout the day. So like if I miss that, I'll notice it and I'll take some time at some point during the day.
What's the habit that gives you an edge 90% of contractors never develop?
Reading. Pretty avid reader. And
any good book recommendations for people to read out there that maybe...
So many. It depends on what you're trying to learn.
The ones that you gave me, right? Go Giver, right?
Go Giver is my absolute favorite book.
Yeah.
I think the principles in the Go Giver are just timeless.
What was the other what's the one that's about like the whole ESO process? What's that?
If you're building a business, you need to read Traction.
Traction, yeah. We talked a lot about that.
Yep, because every business needs an operating system.
Yeah.
Just like computers have operating systems, every business needs an operating system, and EOS has been the operating system in which we run off of.
Do you believe that played a large part in your scale and like how you've grown?
1000%. We would not have been able to scale if it hadn't been for us implementing EOS.
What's one fear that still follows you even now?
Again,
You said you don't have fear.
I don't really operate out of fear.
Yeah.
Like it just like.
But do you look at, because you have that, everyone has that emotion, right? Unless you weren't made with it. But but like some people like run towards it, right? If they have that like feeling of like this danger or something, like they'll be like, okay, this means I should probably go after it. Is that like maybe your mindset? Like if you feel like something's like this scares me, I'm gonna go for it. Like is that or like do you not look at it that way?
No, I get nervous.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like I've had to have really hard conversations that are really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I get uncomfortable.
Yeah. But you just dive into that feeling.
But I dive into it and
still take the action to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that anything that I want will come out of operating out of fear.
So let's talk about the life behind the logos. What does travel do for you that business never could?
I don't know if it's that business never could, but what I love so much about travel is the perspective that it gives me on how small my life is and I am, my problems are, and the opportunity to see the different ways that people live. I'll often think about the dude sitting in the spice shop in Istanbul whose family has owned the spice shop for hundreds of years, and he's just sitting there and he's slanging spices. And it's like, my problems really don't matter. You know what I mean? Like, they really don't. In the grand scheme of things, they're small.
It puts some perspective.
I love Alex Hermosi's perspective on like legacy.
I haven't heard it.
He talks about how, do you know who your great 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 grandfather was?
No idea. Right?
None.
Okay.
Doesn't matter how big of an impact like you make over a long enough time horizon, generations and generations and generations, nobody will remember. So just do what you want.
That's good. What's the best cigar you ever smoked, and where were you?
The best cigar that I smoked was a Monte Cristo number 2. And I smoked it in St. Martin at night in the pool with 2 of my really good friends, one of them which has passed.
Sorry to hear that.
It's okay.
How much was that cigar?
I think they're like 30 or 40 bucks.
Okay.
Cigar. It wasn't
the cigar. Huh?
It wasn't the cigar.
Where's Monte Cristo? No, that's the cigar. St. Martin. Where's St. Martin?
St. Martin is an island in the Caribbean.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It was just the company and the moment and everything.
Mm-hmm. It's not my favorite cigar, the Monte Cristo number 2. I'm a big fan of Padron.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Partagas. So it wasn't that it was like my favorite cigar that I got, the actual cigar, but it was just like that memory is so vivid to me.
Yeah.
Of like the 3 of us sitting in the pool, like just and it's memory of like my friend who's no longer with us. So yeah, I'd say that's probably my favorite cigar I ever smoked.
It's a good story. What's your rule for switching off? Like, since we're talking about traveling, like, do you have what's your rule for switching off?
First of all, switching off is really hard for people like us, high drivers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do my best that when I walk in the door, I leave work outside.
You leave your phone outside then?
Not my I don't, but as soon as I walk in my house, my phone goes on do not disturb.
Okay.
And so
that's like that's a rule, right? So like you're just like, I'm not gonna focus on this right now. I'm gonna focus on my wife and my time at home. And
now I'm not perfect at it by any means.
Right.
But oftentimes when I pull up to the house, it was funny one night when I pulled up, I walked in the house and my wife was like, she was all concerned. She's like, why do you sit in your truck for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes? Like, do you not want to come in and see me? And I was like, no, that's not it at all. Like, I pull up and I handle all the calls and the email returns in my truck so that I can get all of that done so I can leave it out there before I walk in the door.
Give her 100%.
And she was like, oh, okay. Like, that makes sense. And so I'll often do that is I won't walk in the house and continue to work. I'll sit in my truck and I'll handle all that before I walk in the house. If I do need to take a work call, I'll walk outside and do it. I do my best not to take calls in the house related to work.
Do you think success should be loud or quiet?
Quiet. Like in your intro, I'm not a very loud person. I've often made moves in silence. Um, because when you do so loudly, you open the gates to the opinions of others. And I don't need the opinions of others. They don't change the trajectory that I'm on. So I just typically don't feel the need to be loud about moves that I'm making.
I get that because it's like once you start, you know, I can relate that when you start speaking to everyone about your ideas, a lot of people do this. They'll start telling everyone, I'm gonna open up this business, or I'm gonna go doing this and that. And by the time they talk to the third person that said, hey, yeah, but what about if you get sued? And what about, and then now they're like, oh, I got to think of a new idea. And they never start, right? So it's like, I think the best advice for somebody who's out there wanting to do something is just go for it. Make a checklist of everything you need to do to get started, and just go for it. That's what I hear from what you're saying. It's like, don't go ahead and just ask everyone or tell everyone, because the second you do that, you're opening the opinion of everyone else, and now people are gonna, some are gonna be positive and some are gonna be negative, and why do you need to have that in your head? Instead of, you should just be focusing on the execution.
Well, I'd rather tell people about what I've done rather than what I'm about to do.
Word. What's one thing you indulge in unapologetically?
Maybe binging Netflix.
I like that.
Sometimes I just need to shut off.
What's some of the series you're watching lately?
My wife and I just watched God, what is it? The show where they're at the hotels, White Lotus.
Dude, me and my buddies were just talking about that dinner the other night. The best show ever.
So good.
Are you watching the Thailand season, like the newest one?
We finished it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we finished all the seasons.
And like someone was asking me, he's starting with season 3. I'm like, well, you could, but you should probably start with season 1, because they're all kind of connected in a way. You know what I mean?
They did. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a sick show, bro.
It was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Did you watch the new one on Prime about Your Friends Are Neighbors? Like that new one?
Mm-mm.
That's a good one. They just did. Okay, so what you're building matters, but where are you headed? So what does Aspire look like in the next 10 years from now?
In 10 years, we will have 150 locations across the country.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want your future kids to step into the business or build their own?
I'm not having kids.
Cool. What does the word legacy mean to you at 31?
I think legacy means how many people's lives can I positively impact. I think that just all around my mission in everything and anything that I do is like, can I make a positive impact on somebody's life, either directly or indirectly, which is why I've taken a step into social media, because I realized that it is selfish of me to not try to give some knowledge or experience that I've gained that could be useful to someone else.
What do you want clients to say about Aspire when you're not in the room?
How amazing our people are. Like, I love seeing when we have our 5-star reviews come across, and they just can't stop talking about how amazing the experience was with the project manager they worked with, and how they communicated and they cared about it and they went above and beyond. And I just believe that's how we should operate in anything that we do.
What's one lesson you hope outlives you?
Discipline is the ticket to freedom.
Okay, we can go through some quick rapid fire questions. Answer fast, no filters. Leadership or loyalty?
Leadership.
Pain or pressure?
Pressure.
Which built you more?
Pain or pressure? Pressure.
Marriage made me blank.
A better man.
Aspire was born out of blank.
Opportunity.
I still haven't figured out blank. He's got everything figured out, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I don't. I don't have everything figured out. There were just too many things that came to mind. Dude, I don't know. There's just there's too many for that one.
Okay, if I had to start over, I'd do blank.
Whatever opportunity God put in front of me.
Last one. Success without blank is failure.
Friends.
I love it, bro. Thank you, Mick, for coming on. You dropped a lot of knowledge to us, and hopefully we can do this again.
Would love to.
Awesome, bro.
Thanks.